and somebody you can connect with. Do you share similar values? Because you're going to spend a lot of time with that person, and you want to make sure that that's a good connection for you.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Now, Heb, let's go to talk another topic, which is the power of coaching and mentorship. Because
Yes.
I have this story that I always share. You see, building my business, yeah. At some point, my dad comes to work on the business. Yeah, he never owned a business before. Yeah, and he was giving me business advice. And then I'm not taking the business advice in consideration. Then a coach come, give me the same advice. Then I'm taking the advice. Then my dad is angry with me, saying, listen to me. I'm your dad. And then you listen to this guy. That this guy only wants your money, and it's very difficult to to make him understand that, look, I only take qualified advice, or I only can, the way that I give an opinion from a coach or a mentor that specialize in this, that I have track record, that have been there before, is more, way more in my decision making process that the advice that you gave me. And don't get me wrong, I love you with my life, you're my dad, but when it comes to business, it's not about getting advice. It's about listening to people qualified for it. This is how I see it. Yeah. You might
Sure.
hear that people say, no, Harry don't listen. No, it's not that Harry don't listen. I listen to everyone. However, I put more weight in the decision-making process from a qualified person, for a qualified coach, for a qualified mentor. I've been trained like this. I discovered this. That's what works for me, right? And I think so. What is your view about this? Uh, because or what do you think? Do you think that the entrepreneur should be listening advice for everybody that is entrepreneur or non-employer, advice for the employees, advice from this, advice from that, or in a specific topics? You need someone that is qualified to give you the advice, because
Sure.
otherwise, you know what happens if you take the advice of somebody unqualified, things go wrong. It's you who have to pay the bills.
Yes.
That's the thing. You can listen
Yes.
everybody and do what everybody wants to say, but when things goes wrong, it's you who have to pay for it. Nobody's
I
gonna be there to
agree.
take it from
I
you.
agree.
So, what's your view on this?
Number one, there's no better way to get somewhere you want to get to than to learn from somebody who's already been there and made the mistakes.
Absolutely.
That's number one. I was very fortunate. I was in a family business over 50 years.
Wow.
Our business was 54 years old. I spent 35 years of my career, and I learned a lot, but we learned some very tough lessons. We got stalled. We had stopped growing. We didn't know how to handle different levels of growth from 10 million to 20 to 50 and beyond.
It changed a
And,
lot.
and we didn't know what we didn't know. So I got a coach. I learned a scaling up, a growth methodology, which happens to be scaling up. I was a CEO practitioner, entrepreneur using the method. So I'm practicing what I preach. I'm using it for over 22 years.
Wow.
And 5 years ago, I pivoted from my company, sold them all, and all I do now is coach and educate other business owners. And I am a great scaling up coach if scaling up is the goal or objective that you have. My companies want to double their business every 3 to 5 years. My companies are invested in their continuous learning and development. They have a bias to want to take action now. They don't want to wait 3 years. They want to get moving. and they ultimately want to leave a legacy. Their work has meaning to them, and they want it to be built and developed in a strong foundation that will last. And ultimately, some may sell, some may do an ESOP, some will give it to the next generation. But they're really about building purpose and profits with impact, making that difference. So there's a million different types of coaches out there, but first things first, where do you want to get to? And hire somebody who's been there, done that, with a great track record, and somebody you can connect with. Do you share similar values? Because you're going to spend a lot of time with that person, and you want to make sure that that's a good connection for you. I will add to that. So there's a lot of elements to growing a business. I know people take classes. I know people sign up for mastermind groups. I know people do coaching. And I know people that do strategic planning, like annual, quarterly planning. What I've learned is that I'm an innovator at heart, and I see the market changing. And what I've tried to do is create a best in breed program, a program that gives you scaling up education for you and your team, because you need to know what the system's all about. It also gives you coaching, because if I have a system with a toolbox and I don't know how to implement it correctly for my company right now, I'm going to hurt my company. So the education, the scaling up coaching for implementation, and then we do facilitated planning. Where are you going? Because the market's changing on you, and every 90 days, we update your plan to be market ready, market current. And then the final thing that is really important, I've taught several thousand students in the last 5 years on the Scaling Up Master's Business course. I have learned so much from a global audience of great entrepreneurs and leadership teams. But you know what I loved about that experience the most? It wasn't the education for the people, it was the shared learning between the students and people that really was an incredible value for the business owner. So we incorporate the mastermind element of peer learning and sharing.
Very good.
And so I feel like an owner, I wish I had this 20 years ago, quite frankly.
Me too. Me too.
I wish I had it 20 years ago, but
I found it along the way, and yeah, like I said, those elements that you're talking about helps. I found them along the way. The masterminds, all these. When you are in that journey, you start to find things, and you realize, wow, I wish that I have this before. But also, the other thing helps is that people, in order to find the coach or the business coach, this is what they do. They go to internet, and then they find a business coach with a Ferrari, with a luxury house and everything, and they go there, and that's the business coach that they want. Nothing wrong with that. However, you describe very powerfully the number one. You talk about culture, right? And we interview 500 millionaires in this podcast, and when I ask this question, what would you like? What would you do different? A lot of people are telling me, Harry, culture. If I knew that my business is gonna take me 10 times, 100 times harder to build, and I will work very close with these people at the beginning, or we define these core values. I will attract the right people, which is a point that you raise in your 5 steps to make the first million, which I agree 100%. But again, when you bring in a business coach, this business coach has to also, not on number one, have achieved what you want to achieve, but number two, align with the values of the business, because it's a relationship. You also have to be happy coaching these businesses, because you know that there is something meaningful, right? Because at the end of the day, you can choose the people you work with, correct?
Yes.
So what is happening, in my opinion, that had damaged the coaching industry is that the entrepreneurs go there out of the flashy object. They go to the social media, find someone with a Ferrari, with the whatever. This a business coach. They hire the business coach. Then what happened? They get very little value, pay a lot of money. They have a bad experience, and now they make that assumption. Well, business coaching doesn't work. These people only want my money, and
Yeah.
they won't help me.
Yeah.
So which is sad because and then they are broke, and then the business failed after 2 years and goes into this 90% of businesses that fail from zero to and nobody understands what happened. Well, if you have a bad experience hiring the coach, this is what you can learn as an entrepreneur. You need to learn how to hire a good business coach,
Yeah.
like you do
Harry,
in business, right?
I completely agree. But not only do we align on the core values, I need to buy into their core purpose, their why.
The why, yeah.
If I don't buy into their why,
What's the
that's
point?
not going yeah, it's not going to be a good fit for me. One of the things we do with our clients when we begin, you can interview, you can look at their background, but you never know if it's a fit until you start working together. So I have a scaling up performance promise. In the first 90 days, if either of us feels for any reason that it will not be a fit, you can stop immediately, no questions asked. If we have a 1 year program commitment, if after 90 days you feel like month 5, we didn't do a good job, you don't see value, you only pay the invoice amount for the value you received.
Wow.
I've never had to
That's how
give them.
confident. That's how confident you are.
Well, I want my clients to feel confident and
Yeah,
comfortable that I'm all in,
absolutely.
that they made a good decision, and that I made a good decision with them to want to
Mm.
be on this journey to deliver their number 5 big, hairy, audacious goal together.
I like the 90 days. I'll tell you why. Because sometimes even us, when we hire the employees, okay, yeah, they come in the interview in paper. They can see the values. We can see the core values. We can see everything. But until they don't go inside the company and they don't get the roles and they perform, we really don't know if it's gonna be a good fit. Uh, that's the truth. You see, our company, is operate at very high level. A lot of things um, going happen really fast. Even this podcast, you see, is huge amount of content and production that goes behind this. So uh, they they had to perform at the high level of performing and efficiency, and it's not for everybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
the people that they are
So,
in our company, they love it. They have a rush. They love to work with us. They love to how to innovate, how to this, how that. But there are people that, well, this the way that and in our company, for example, in 17 years, I never hear anybody in my company telling me, Harry, this is not my job. You see,
good
this
for you.
is
That's
this
great.
is this is
That's
how the
great.
culture that we have. You see, I don't like to have gazillion employees. I would like to have just a few. So people that go into our organization, they know that this is organization that, okay, we give you a task. If you don't know, please do research, and try to learn it, and so on.
Yep.
So uh, and but once again, you said that you align in the values, yeah, and it's a good
And
fit. I think that I think it's amazing the service that you provide, because it's different. Scaling up is all about on lending. Yeah, when you go to 0 to 1, yeah, you learn. But now when you make the 1 million, oh, you have to unlearn everything, and now to learn how to go from 1 to 10. But after you go to 10 million, now you have to unlearn everything, because now it's from 10 to 100 million. And
yeah,
boy, you need someone to help you with that. And sometimes that's the other thing, have that some people are wired for 0 to 1. Some people are wired to zero, from 1 to 10. Some people
Yeah.
prefer 10 to 100. Here in this podcast, we have people that prefer 100 million to 1 billion. They will come here to this broadcast. You see that
Yep.
this is their expertise, 100 million to 1 billion. So this is what they are good at. So at the end of the day, different in your journey as an entrepreneur, scaling up is for. I won't like to say that is easy, because it's easy if you bring the right people in with the right expertise. Uh, Trying to do it yourself from 0 to 100 million, or to whatever, without bringing anybody, it's gonna be challenges, because again, because of this learning and unlearning process, because how things change, because how culture change. But for example, the culture that you have when you are a startup and you are 10 people, 15 people, where everybody had to be committed, is do it or die.
Yep.
That message has to be refined when you have 200 employees.
Yes.
It has to be softened a bit more. No anybody's gonna line. I mean, the core of the culture has to be kind of the same. However, you have to soften that message because the company is growing. And if you have 1,000 employees, completely different things.
Yes.
So, um, what do you think, Herb, that and somebody with credibility like you have to sit with the entrepreneur and share this that we're talking about,
Yep.
and say, "Hey, this is what is happening, right? In the process of scaling up, different people will come, and different different people will come, and different skill will be needed, and things that you used to do in one way completely is going to change." So, how you have this conversation with these entrepreneurs?
Um, I think it's gradual over time. It's never just one conversation. I think it's a series of conversations. But the big epiphany for the owner is that they cannot truly scale unless they hire, develop, and retain a talented leadership team. The first million is all about strategy. Can I create enough lead flow and close enough sales to even prove that I have a market for my offering? So that's like the first million. I would tell any entrepreneur, although you have aspects of operations, aspects of finance, your real focus is to lean into lead generation, product refinement. Can you close $1 million worth of sales? And that should be the predominant use of your time. So if your website is not perfect, if your stationery isn't the prettiest, don't, which CRM system do I pick? Don't be overly concerned with that. Be concerned about, am I generating leads? Am I able to schedule appointments? Can I sell products or offering? And if you put 80% of your time into that for the first million, you're doing great. Once we get to the first million, now we're trying to put scalability into it. What does operations need to be built out to handle the second million? What is the staffing needs for that? What is the next leadership team accountability that I need to hand off? But just be very thoughtful. And this is where we work with clients, understanding what stage are you at and what are the few things we need to prioritize to help get you through that. It's never easy, Harry, but it can be easier with the right system and coaching support.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.